Welcome to Theology 101. Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Youth Ministry 101 podcast, a podcast where you can learn tips, tricks, and hear stories to help reach youth in your life parish and youth group, and invite them to join to share in the love and joy of Jesus Christ and His church.
Have you done this before?
This might be this might be the final episode of this season.
Oh,
and
man.
I maybe I should try it again. Oh well, we'll let it go. We'll let it go.
Okay.
My name is Matthew, and I'm joined here again by
Pia.
And Pierre.
by the peas. Pia
In a
and Pierre.
pod.
Hey, you already know.
Peas in
Two
a pod.
peas in a podcast.
Oh,
Oh,
you guys should
yo.
just start a podcast. I should just leave.
Yo, wait.
Clink, clink to that.
Hey.
All right. Well, before we get into this episode, I just want to say a huge thank you to our supporters, our co-missionaries. That is what we call the people who donate to our ministry and support us. If you would like to become a co-missionary, you can head over to netcanada.ca and support us from there. We can't do what we do without you. So thank you so much for supporting the mission. Today, we're going to be talking about how to get good people on your team.
Ooh. Interesting.
Define good.
Define team.
Oh,
Yeah.
define how.
Okay.
Just define everything. But before we get into
But you're talking about youth ministry team,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay,
and
good.
onto our team. A
Okay.
football team. This isn't a sports podcast,
Okay,
sadly.
Gotcha.
sadly.
Gotcha.
Before we get into that, though, we have the age-old question that you've probably been asked many times.
Okay.
What is your go-to karaoke song?
Oh my goodness. I was ready.
Pia,
ready.
you seem very ready for this.
I was ready. So, I love this song so much. Me and my friend, this was our theme song. It's All By Myself by Celine Dion.
All by myself?
All by myself. I don't want to be all by... And then she's like sad.
Oh my gosh.
Legit.
So it's a karaoke song.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's just such a meme. It's such a meme. I love it so much. And you can act dramatic.
Yeah. You can hide the tears. These are fake. These are fake tears.
Put water on my face. Anyways, I was ready for that.
Yeah, you were. How would you be?
And I'm fighting the urge to come out as an old guy and say it's not by Celine Dion. That's a cover.
Oh, is it
Like,
actually?
it's an older song, but we're not even going to go.
Is it
there.
actually?
Yes.
Back
but
when the world
anyways,
was black and white?
I
Can you
don't
tell us about that?
I don't know. Anyways.
How about you?
You know, I hate karaoke so much.
What?
I really do.
What?
But probably more because I always find myself getting caught in situations where I want to sing old songs from the 80s or something, or 70s
Yeah.
that I really liked. And as you start singing them, you realize these are really bad songs lyrically, right? And I've been caught in situations where the lyrics come up and like, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. So I tend to steer away from it and I just stick with Drake or Jay-Z. You know?
Okay.
Give me anything 80s, I'll sing it. I'm
Okay.
good. Yeah.
Okay.
Hard
Cool.
rock, the better.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
With appropriate lyrics.
Well, good luck. I think you're.
Yeah.
So mostly
chances are
Striper,
slim.
which was a Christian band from the 80s.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
What? The Christian rock band from the 80s?
Have you not seen Striper?
I need to look
No.
this
You
up.
better look it up.
You have a
Send us a
Spotify?
song afterwards.
No,
Send us a song.
they didn't do the Christian music industry any favors. So
Okay.
not because they were inappropriate. It's like they were, yeah.
Okay.
Anyways.
Not like DC Talk in the 90s.
Oh, DC Talk was cool.
DC Talk was cool.
Striper looked like bumblebees.
Okay.
Red, yellow, and black.
Was
Yeah.
there reasoning behind this, like
Yeah.
branding?
By his stripes we are healed.
Oh,
But Striper
Okay.
was spelled with a Y.
Oh,
S-T-R-Y-P.
Whoa.
because it looks aesthetically pleasing, I guess, maybe.
Yeah.
That was a
Look
time.
it up.
That was a
Look
vibe.
it up. Yeah.
Well, I have an answer this time. My go-to karaoke song. I think have I ever done karaoke? I don't think I have.
Wait.
If I did karaoke, it would be "Don't Stop Believing" by Journey.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
I bet you nobody does that.
Just a small down. Yo,
Yeah.
It's not original at all. But that was the one 80s, 90s song, 70s song,
Oh, it's from the
80s
80s.
song. That was the one 80s song I listened to growing up.
There you go. Thank you, Glee.
Bringing it back.
Yeah.
So yeah, speaking of bringing it back, how do we get good people on our team? How do we get? Well, I could also ask myself this question because how did I get good people on the podcast? I don't know. I think I just asked you guys.
I was in the office today.
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pierre, get down
Yeah,
here.
okay,
Film
yeah.
this thing. Okay, I'm coming.
I'll get you free water. Great.
Ooh, good times and fun.
In a
times.
mug.
Yeah.
Yes.
In a the sponsorship.
But we have to return
Show
the
the
mug.
mugs.
Oh yeah. Look,
These are
These
the
are-
new ones.
it's a little
These are the
Look
new.
at that.
These are the new Net Canada mugs.
Not
I have the
yours.
old one. I have the
Yes.
old one. This is the old one.
These
This is
are
what it
oh,
used
great.
to
I
be.
like them. It's super cute.
Look at that little van.
Shop.netcanada.ca.
Yeah.
Filled with leaders.
Yeah, right there.
Filled with good people.
Yes.
So, first question: why do we need a good team? Why do we need leaders? Why is leadership?
Well, that's such a loaded
Important.
question. That's like multiple parts.
Why
to one question.
why do we exist? But in youth ministry, couldn't you just get a bunch of people together and play some Mafia or Among Us, and isn't that
Yeah.
enough?
You could, but at the same time, I feel like you need people that have the heart and have the zeal to want to do it. So, like, per se, they've never done youth ministry before, but they have such a heart to do youth ministry. I can see that. I'm going to say, like, okay, do you want to come help out and just, watch and, just be and, maybe,
Like shadowing on the job.
yeah, and, see, where they're at. And then that's how I see how good people are. But I think that matters is, the heart and the zeal. Because, you don't necessarily need the skill. The skill will come with time. So, yeah.
There's an old, old way of thinking in parishes and churches that, the pastor is the one who does everything, and then the youth minister is the one who does all the youth ministry kind of stuff. And lately, the church has been growing in understanding the importance of teams. So things like divine renovation and
Other things.
yeah.
Maybe Divine Renovation's the only one.
Amazing parish in the States. But talking about that idea of teams, right? And I think that we got to get out of the mindset with youth ministry that the youth minister does everything, and that they're responsible for making sure everything happens, and more to the idea of building a team that can help do that. And even if the youth minister is not doing as much, but the team is doing more, that's fine as well. So I think teams are important because it does get people involved, but it also saves people from burning out. Like, how many youth ministers will last more than 2, 3, 4 years, right? And then they're burnt out because they're doing it all and they feel like they have to do it all. And just this kind of little shift in our thinking of what if we had teams that we built around us to first make things go smoother, but also take the weight off the youth ministers and the weight that they feel they have to do everything. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that because, for example, me being a youth coordinator, I couldn't do everything, everything. As much as I would love to do everything, I can't do everything. But having the teams is just I know if I for example, get sick or something, I know that the youth ministry will still keep on going for however long I'm sick for, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
You can rely on
Yes.
those people.
very much so.
And there's continuity too, right?
Yes.
Like you get hit by a bus tomorrow, God forbid,
Oh.
it could continue on.
Yes.
Right. And especially when there are people that are in the parish that, and they start, and the idea of you have a team that builds more people and builds capacity, and that can continue, right? Well beyond the youth coordinator, the youth minister.
Yeah, and I think we're actually getting into this area. Something I feel is that oftentimes there can be the feeling of if I don't do this, who's going to do it?
Right.
It's kind of it's all on me, like you were saying with the youth ministers who kind of just take everything on themselves. And sometimes you just got to hear it's Jesus doesn't need you to do this. You don't need to do this.
Right.
Yep.
He wants you to do this, but you don't need to do this. And to have a team, to be a part of a team and a group that is going to accomplish these things, there's going to be so much more fruit born because of that. We had mentioned in the previous episode, just even having youth volunteers as a part of your youth group, that can even be a conversion experience for them.
Right.
Growing, shadowing you in the job sort of thing. Yeah, just spreading out the responsibilities.
Yeah, and that's
It's a very
very
good
true.
thing.
So for example, we just had Holy Week. I actually got sick during Holy Week. I was sick for Holy Saturday, Holy Thursday, Good Friday, and I was in charge of the Passion Play. I asked one of my youth leaders, so he's in high school, and I'm hey, can you head this up? And willingly he said yes, and there was no hesitation. And the Passion Play went amazing, from what I've heard. I wasn't there because I was sick, but it's him and the other youth leaders and some other youth were able to run that. And when I heard that, I was okay, what I'm doing at this parish is working out with the teams and everything. And the fact that they wanted to do that for me, but also for the parish, shows that they had ownership. And
Yeah.
that really, that situation actually did happen. I got sick. I couldn't go do the passion play, but they were able to run a passion play that was beautiful and move people. So yeah.
And it's beautiful that you don't feel threatened by the fact of, like I was going to jokingly say, well, I guess we don't need you then, right?
Yeah.
No, but we do need you because you created that situation where you have these leaders that can step in and do that.
Yeah.
And to not feel threatened by that, going, it's great. I don't even have to be here and things can run smoothly.
Yeah.
And again, what you said is obviously I'm doing something right. And that's important to see.
Yeah.
To build a team that has that ability to do it is a wonderful thing. Doesn't eliminate your need, makes it, or the need for you, but even more so, we need people that can do that.
There's like the two extremes of like the one that like holds on to power and like it's like I don't want anyone to steal my job, and then there's the other one that's like kind of apathetic, like whatever goes on sort of thing. But there's a beauty with just like letting go. It's like someone else is going to be able to take care of this.
Yeah.
We have systems in place and processes in place
Yeah.
that everyone on the team is bought into this. Everyone on the team wants the same thing, and we're all coming from a place of having a relationship with Jesus, and that is the source of our strength. That is the source of our love for what we're doing. Because otherwise, like youth ministry just becomes a bit of a like philanthropy almost.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Just like we're doing this because it's good. We want to help people. Good intentions, but not the heart behind it.
Yep.
Question for both of you guys: How are you guys like discipled into mission?
I must say, discipled into mission. It first started out with an organization called Catholic Christian Outreach.
Oh, you stole my answer.
Oh, Pierre. And I was a university student. I was raised Catholic, of course. Raised Catholic. I left the faith mentally when I was 13, but I couldn't really move out when I was 13. So I went to university, and my brother was really into his faith, accepted the faith on his own when he was 15. And he really pushed me to go to this conference that Catholic Christian Outreach, we're going to say short for CCO. And yeah, there was a joy that I was really inspired by that. And I came back to campus, and there was a missionary that pursued me, and it was crazy. And that's where I was discipled. And then I went to another conference, same conference, but next year. And that's when I had my conversion, and that's where I was discipled. So it's kind of like, it was about a year process, and multiple people were involved. But ultimately, CCO really helped me with that. So yeah, I wasn't like a youth group person because I left my faith at 13.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. How would you, Pierre?
Yeah, similar, but many years prior to that. Same thing, being raised Catholic, but stepping away from the faith. I like how you put it kind of like mentally. You can't physically because you live at home and you go to church with your family, but having stepped away from that mentally and deciding, especially when I left home at high school, that the faith was not for me, and then going to university and encountering CCO myself, and being challenged in the faith and having a conversion then. For me, the discipleship, well, there was no conferences way back then. We were pretty early on, like this is the first 3-4 years of the ministry. But being involved in a study myself, and then being challenged to lead a study for others was key, right? And then being kind of trained, how do you lead that study? How do you lead a small group? And just being given opportunities to lead was really, really important for me. Of course, joining staff and going into ministry with CCO was also another big step. But the key part, which I think CCO continues, is building leaders right in the midst of them being evangelized as well, and challenging them to do the same to others is very important. And it was key for me to see. To kind of see that I do have some leadership qualities and that I can get better. I know I don't know everything, but I can get better, and it doesn't take a lot. You just have to have that commitment to Christ and that commitment to evangelize and work with people that are leading you.
Yeah. That's so interesting how they would, like as you're being evangelized, also equipping you to leadership. So it's like both happening at the same time.
Yeah.
So you're not like built up and it's like, okay, you have everything you need now. Now we'll move on to leadership, but at the same time.
Yeah.
What an interesting process.
And coming to know Christ is not the end goal. It's a point in your journey. And after that, it's that formation as a missionary disciple, right? And that's what they did very well and continue to do. Yeah.
So cool. So when you're building a team and you're looking for people, what does the ideal disciple look like? Can you just start with people who maybe just have, a little bit of like a shallow interest in youth ministry, or do you look for people that are like on fire, gung ho, ready to go? What do you look for?
I think
And how do you go about doing it, actually?
for me, I think because a lot of my leaders are net alumni, so they're all like very experienced, and like youth ministry. But so to go back to this question itself is actually going to be with the youth, because that's one of my experiences, to have somebody that's not experienced with youth ministry and stuff. And it's like their zeal and wanting to help. Their zeal to learn more about in the faith. Maybe they don't know anything, because I have one of my leaders. I guess she just got baptized a few years ago. Doesn't know like a lot about the faith, but she has such a zeal and to help out with the youth ministry and to make it better. And just because she doesn't know a lot doesn't mean, but she's willing to learn. And that's like what I look for. It doesn't necessarily you need to know everything, but you're willing to learn and willing to have like to hear what I have to say, but also willing to want to help this youth ministry grow. So that's what I look for.
Yeah.
But and to build off that, I know in the early years of CCO as well, we always use this: people who are faithful, available, and teachable was originally what it was, FAT, but we didn't like fat, right? I'll admit I pushed that we should stick reliable in there, but fart didn't seem much better anyways. But now what's used is faithful, available, contagious, and teachable. And a lot of the things you're talking about are in there. And I think for leaders, they don't have to be mission ready, but they have some of these characteristics of being faithful. So of course they have the zeal for the faith, and they want to grow in it. The availability, that they're actually free to do the work, and they're interested, or they're willing to make the time for it. Contagious, so they're kind of a personality that people can be drawn to. Doesn't mean they have to be extrovert, but some people just aren't willing to be in crowds or want to get to know people. But some people have that contagious kind of aspect. And then the last one is teachable, which you touched on as well. Like if they're not willing to learn things, then it's hard to make them a leader. They have to be willing to learn and almost recognize that I don't know everything, and I'm willing to learn and want to learn. So there's skills that you can teach people, but some of these traits you can't necessarily. So when you see somebody that has, at least a few of these, they can be developed into a leader, and these are the kind of people you should look for. Even if they know nothing, they could just be newly converted and they don't know anything about the faith, but they're on fire. They want to know more, like, what can I do? And they like being around people, and they're just hungry to learn. That can be a leader. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
How are there are there ways that you can kind of like scout out people to have them in your youth ministry as what are some things that you have done, I guess, in your youth ministry? Have you done like parish appeals? Like if anybody wants to get involved, because you can send out the email, but we all know what happens to emails. Sometimes they just go straight to the trash. But like how do you recruit people? Like, do you approach them personally? Do you mass appeal? Like how do you?
I guess like for me specifically, it's going to be word of mouth. It's going to be word of mouth, and also like community oriented. So like parish appeals, I find don't like they work because it brings out people, but I want people that are invested. So not just like they'll come for one time and they're like, okay, this is kind of lame, I'll leave again. But like people that are invested. So I'll like wait a few weeks actually before I like approach them and say, hey, I see that you possibly could want to help. I see like you're talking to youth, or you're like wanting to have this type of conversation, or like if it's like an adult, like hanging out with them, like type thing, and like in a regular, in just a regular setting, just like hang out like for a coffee or something, just because like, and like approach them, it's like, hey, do you want to help out with the youth ministry? It's not really like I see them, scout them, I see their talent. Yeah. It's more like I need to see them interact with other people before I do anything. So
yeah,
but there is that targeting aspect, which I think is important too, and never be afraid to see people and their gifts and call them and recognize their gifts and ask them to help in that giftedness as well.
Yeah.
One of the ironic things, when we talk about availability, is I've also heard you should ask people who are busy.
Yep.
And that seems counterintuitive, but people who are busy usually are good people to ask because they can make time. But especially if they're busy in other things, maybe not involved in the church, they might be looking for something faith-wise, right? So not that we want to steal them from other things, but they may be busying themselves with other events, other community organizations, which is good to do as well. But if you provide them an opportunity, say, hey, we need help with the youth group. Would you be willing to come, lead a talk or lead a small group or help organize a night or whatever it could be? If it's an adult or a younger person, you could change that. But even though they're busy, if you give them something tangible in the faith, they would probably be interested in it. And I've seen that time and again. Don't say no for other people.
Yeah.
let them say no.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
If you're offering something good and an
Yeah,
opportunity
doesn't
to
hurt
do
to
some
ask.
good work,
Mm-hmm.
they'll say no if they're really, really not interested or don't have the time.
Yeah.
But if you sell it well, tell
Mm-hmm.
them what you're doing,
Yeah.
tell them the gifts you see in them, which I like what you're saying. Like you scout out people in a way,
Mm-hmm.
like you see people and you ask them specifically. Because appeals rarely get people, But if you ask somebody, tap somebody on the shoulder, how good would you feel if somebody comes, hey man, I think you'd be really good at helping us with X, Y, and Z. You'd feel kind of honored. I know I would, and people would. So never be afraid to ask and never say no for people.
Totally. Yeah.
That's totally true. I can totally what Pierre said. Like, because a lot of my youth volunteers super busy. A lot of my adult volunteers also super busy.
Yeah.
None of them are just like, I guess per se, quote unquote, bumming around. All of them are all really busy people, but all of them are all very committed. So yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Wow. That's like, so counterintuitive to think of. But the people that are usually busy are like better at managing the ball of time.
Yeah,
It's like,
it's true.
kind of just like juggle things around. And the whole thing with like asking people individually, one-on-one, affirming them in their gifts, and honestly, excuse me, honestly, just like asking if you'd like to get involved, and kind of giving like levels of commitment. Would you like to be really involved, or just like even come for like occasionally, or just
Right.
come give a talk or lead a small group? There's like different levels, because some people, as soon as you ask them like, do you want to come help run the youth group, the first thing they're going to think of is, I'm going to be the next person
Right,
running the youth
right.
group. Like, this is going to get dumped onto me, sort of
If you
thing.
make it sound too big of a
Yeah.
job.
Yeah. And the beauty of having a team is that it will be distributed
Right.
ideally,
Yeah.
evenly among the people. So,
Yep.
and another thing I thought of is, if you have a youth group, why not start a young adult group, and then you can have the young adult group help out with the youth group sometimes.
Yeah.
But that not be the primary purpose of it,
Right,
because then it's like, we're just here to become the next youth ministers, But like, that can be a great witness. And I think we very quickly become too internal in the church, and we forget, almsgiving, serving the poor, things like that, like going out and doing mission. Like, after the mass is done, we are called to go out and share the good news, not to go home and turn on the TV and not, think about what we just received the God of the universe. So like, I think also outreaching is a powerful witness with your
Right.
youth group that attracts people as well. They're like, look at those people. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. Any other final thoughts?
I kept saying youth minister, and you call yourself youth coordinator.
Yeah.
And I prefer youth coordinator because, again, it's that shift of the youth minister being the only one who ministers to the youth. But a youth coordinator, you're coordinating the
Yep.
ministry, right? Doesn't mean you don't have interaction with the youth and that you're not important in that. But your greater role is to form a team, to coordinate the ministry that's going on and make sure that it's effective, and to be building into those leaders. And you'll be working with youth. Like,
Yep.
obviously, I would imagine probably most of your leaders are young people,
Yeah.
right? Either young adults or even the youth themselves. So you are still doing youth ministry, but it's in a way that's going to have a longer lasting impact because you're building into these young people, you're forming them in their leadership, in their relationship with Christ, and you're also challenging them to do that to the next level down,
Yep.
and vice versa, or not vice versa, but on and on and on. So that coordinating of the ministry is so important, as opposed to, again, that mindset of, I'm the minister. You're the coordinator that makes sure ministry gets done while you're doing ministry at the same time. Yeah, that's where teams come in.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's very well said. I must say, like, I do explain, like, oh, I'm a youth coordinator. Like, oh, what's that? Oh, I'm a youth minister. That's the same thing. It's just
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah. And then I explain that, and they're like, okay, I
Yeah.
get it. Because, like, youth minister is more widely spread. Youth coordinator is more of a newer term, I find.
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
That's cool.
And words mean things. And,
Yeah, they
and
have power.
yeah.
So cool. Well, that's it for today. I think conversational wise with how to get a good people on your team.
How to get a good people?
Yeah.
How to get a good people. Let's go rap Eminem. That's my favorite karaoke song.
Really?
No,
All
we
right,
should-
Slim, let's go.
If people want to follow us on social media, where can they find us? Pia?
You can find us on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook.
What's our handle?
Handle is at Net Canada.
Well done, 100%.
How come you didn't ask me?
Your test is coming quick.
Facebook.
We are on Facebook. If people want to support us, where can they head, Pierre?
You can mail an envelope with a check.
That actually works. You can do that.
You can go to netcanada.ca. You can give online there. You can call our office at 1-613-841-4141.
You got it.
Ooh.
Yeah, make a donation
Wow.
that way. But mostly information on the website, netcanada.ca.
On the fancy new website, which
Yeah.
won't be new when this comes out, but it's still fancy.
Yes.
Does somebody want to end us off in a prayer?
Sure.
All right, take it away.
Name Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Dear God, may you just bless this podcast. May you just bless Pierre and Matthew as we talk about how to get good team leaders. May you just bless everyone that's listening. We just thank you for this podcast and thank you for everyone that's listening. Also, thank you for myself, Pierre, and Matthew. Blessed Mother, may you just bring us closer to your Son as you were the first missionary. Jesus, in your most holy name, amen.
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 Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen.
Amen. Thank you all so much for listening, and we will see you potentially next week's episode. If there's no episode after this, we will see you maybe in season 3. See you guys.